The offshore waters forecast for south of Long Island between Montauk Point and Sandy Hook, out to 1,000 fathoms. Tropical storm force winds possible Friday. Today, southwest winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming south to southwest 15 to 20 knots late. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, south to southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming south 10 to 15 knots late. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Wednesday, south winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming 10 to 20 knots late. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Wednesday night, south winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming south to southwest 10 to 15 knots late. Seas 4 to 5 feet. Thursday, southwest winds 10 to 20 knots. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Thursday night, southwest winds 10 to 20 knots, diminishing to 5 to 15 knots late. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Friday, tropical storm conditions possible. Friday night, tropical storm conditions possible. Saturday, tropical storm conditions possible. Saturday night, west to northwest winds 5 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 5 feet. The offshore waters forecast for south of New England between the Great South Channel and Montauk Point, out to 1,000 fathoms. Hurricane force winds possible Friday night. Today, southwest winds 10 to 15 knots, increasing to 15 to 20 knots late. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Tonight, southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming south late. Seas 4 to 5 feet. Wednesday, south winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 4 to 5 feet. Wednesday night, south winds 10 to 20 knots, becoming 15 knots late. Seas 4 to 5 feet. Thursday, south winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming southwest 15 to 20 knots late. Seas 5 to 6 feet. Thursday night, southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, diminishing to 5 to 15 knots late. Seas 5 to 6 feet. Friday, tropical storm conditions possible. Southwest winds 5 to 15 knots, becoming east to northeast less than 10 knots late. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Friday night, hurricane conditions possible. Saturday, tropical storm conditions possible. Saturday night, west to southwest winds 5 to 15 knots, becoming west to northwest 10 to 20 knots late. Seas subsiding to 4 to 7 feet. The offshore waters forecast for Hudson Canyon to Baltimore Canyon, out to 1,000 fathoms. Tropical storm force winds possible Friday. Today, south to southwest winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming south 10 to 20 knots late. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Tonight, south winds 10 to 20 knots, becoming 10 to 15 knots late. Seas 3 to 4 feet. Wednesday, south winds 10 to 15 knots, increasing to 15 to 20 knots late. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Wednesday night, south winds 15 to 20 knots, becoming southwest 10 to 20 knots late. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Areas of fog with visibility 1 nautical mile or less. Thursday, southwest winds 10 to 20 knots. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Thursday night, southwest winds 10 to 20 knots, diminishing to 5 to 15 knots late. Seas 4 to 6 feet. Friday, tropical storm conditions possible. Friday night, tropical storm conditions possible. Saturday, north winds 10 to 20 knots, becoming north to northwest 5 to 15 knots late. Seas 6 to 10 feet, subsiding to 4 to 6 feet. Saturday night, west to southwest winds 5 to 15 knots. Seas subsiding to 3 to 4 feet late.
The coastal waters forecast from Sandy Hook, New Jersey to Fire Island Inlet, New York, out 20 nautical miles.